And we, the Knights of God, will rule you with strength, with wisdom, and with justice. This I swear to you. Go in peace.
Hello and welcome to another episode of It Could Have Been a Classic. And I'm sorry I did one episode last week, but it got blocked. So this week I found something very rare. I think a few people will remember this, but it's definitely gone under the radar. 1987's Knights of God. And this is a TV programme made for kids, shown on a Sunday at 4:30. In 1987. Now I'm gonna have to say, when I started watching this, and it is on YouTube to view, and there's no physical media of it, there was some releases on VHS in Europe in the early 90s, but I did find a DVD box set on eBay, but it was the DVD-R, so I assume that's been copied, so you're gonna get the same class of, it's a bootleg of this series. Now, I'm going to have to say, there's quite an impressive cast in this. You've got Gareth Thomas, alias Blake Seven, who's playing Blake Seven, a freedom fighter. Patrick Troughton, the second Doctor, being the second Doctor, he's like a wise man. There's a number of other stars that are sort of famous now, big Shakespearean actors, and they were all in this. The guy who plays the king found no information, and the woman is in love with. There ain't much information on them on Wikipedia. But let's go into the cast. You're not going to believe who's in this. John Woodvine as Prior Mordrin. Julian Fellows as Brother Hugo. He was in a load of stuff. Grew up on him. Like I said, Gareth Thomas, Shirley Stelfox, Nigel Stock, Christopher Bowen, Don Henderson, and Owen Teale, and Stally Brass as Nell. They're just some of the names. Now, this was created by Television South for ITV. I'm so surprised they got this through. I really am. They'd never get away with this today. Created by Richard Cooper, starring George Winter, Claire Parker. They're the two actors. Nothing much on them at all. Release date 6 September to the 6th of December 1987. Now, I sort of caught this on a Sunday. I was about 19, so I was like going out at the time. And if I was in the house, I sort of used to watch it. It seemed to go on forever, but it's only 13 episodes. But I never forgot this. And I never got to see the final episode until a few years ago. And I've just watched it all again. I've got to see the whole thing now. And I have to say, I've really enjoyed it. Now, I've uploaded the episodes to my channel. I joined them all together, so it is very good. There's a lot going on in this. Now, the villain Mordrin, basically, it's set in the year 2020. Britain is ruled by the Knights of God, a fascist religious order founded by Prior Mordrin John Woodvine that came to power during a brutal civil war that began in 2000, during which the royal family was supposedly all slaughtered by Hugo fellas, and the civilian government collapsed, leaving the knights free to step into the power vacuum. Mordrin has renamed the south of England Anglia, the north and Scotland, which has only recently been brought under control. He calls Northumbria, in between is the Wasteland, the former industrial regions of Lancashire and southern Yorkshire, where the remaining resistance fighters, regarded as terrorists by the Knights, are still at large. For the time being, Mordrin sees the Wasteland as a convenient buffer to communications and travel between Anglia and Northumbria. Winchester is now serving as the nation's capital as London was destroyed, and there is a lack of resources. Gervase Edwards has grown up in Wales, which has finally succumbed to the rule of the Knights, although the resistance led by his father, Blake Seven himself, the freedom fighter, when most civilians in Wales are interned for not showing sufficient enthusiasm for the end of the war and loyalty to the Knights. Gervase is sent to re-education and training camp and he escapes. And it all comes out that Gervase has a destiny and he is the last member of the royal family. He doesn't know there's only 3 people. No. That's the Archbishop of Canterbury, Arthur, played by Patrick Troughton. And he is the father of Mordrin, who's the leader of the Knights, but he's losing the plot. He wants to become king, and he sees himself this great destiny. He's got an assistant called Hugo, who he fought by his side when they took over the country. He's plotting to get rid of him because they all think he's lost the plot, and that's basically it. And we get into the lives of the people and what life's like under the Knights. Now, there is a lot more in the novel by Richard Cooper. The novel, based on the same storyline, was published around the same time of the UK television screenings. The narrative generally follows that the TV serial is basically the same as the book. The novel also contains much additional detail about the world of 2020 and the Civil War, such as Ireland as a whole having become an American state, and the source of much of the rebels' supplies. Despite an official arms embargo, the Civil War was caused by the breakdown of law and order, resulting from high unemployment of tens of millions. The Knights launched a coup, but the royal family fled to the north, right, which rose in revolt against the coup. With the final battle of the war taking place in York, the infant Gervase was smuggled out of the burning city, while all the other members of the family were killed. It is mentioned that whilst Hugo uses his position to secure personal luxuries, and especially alcohol, Mordrin, who is the leader of the Knights of God, is a teetotal vegetarian with hints that he suffers from obsessive-compulsive disorder. It is also clarified that a reaction to the religious trappings of the order has been the unification of all Christian faiths, with many believing that Mordrin himself is the Antichrist. Gervase is explicitly identified as King Edward King Edward something, and names he finds acceptable for its similarity to his choose surname of Edwards. So production were in Hampshire and North Wales. It is funny, but they took such a risk with this series. They really did. I mean, this was a kids' programme. No wonder we're all fucked. So you've got this right-wing fascist religious government that's took over, with the leader who loses the plot. He's got visions of becoming a king, even though his own councils forbid it. He don't care. And the hero is a young boy. Mordrin captures him, brainwashes him and wants him to assassinate the person behind the whole sort of resistance. We find out Patrick Troughton's Mordrin's dad, who's ashamed of him and evil. And the aim of the rebels is to restore back democracy and put the king on the throne and create a new parliament and all this. But then it's like there's a lot of violence in this. Machine guns, assassinations, plots, conspiracy, predictions. It's all in this. It's very well written. And I watched the 13 episodes over a couple of days. And I by episode 5 I was rather hooked. I was fascinated by the Knights of God. Now, back in the 70s, they did a series, but they only made one season of it, about a right-wing government, and it was called The Guardians. They created their own elite force that took over the country and outlawed democracy because something similar happened, and they took power. And it has a lot of that. Now, Guardians, they didn't make a season 2, and it was banned. It got banned in certain parts of the country. I think it was banned in Ireland because back in the 70s, you know. So, like, it is fascinating. But this was made for kids, right? Family entertainment. Basically, it's this kid's got a destiny. He's going to become king, and everybody needs a symbol to unify, and that's his destiny for the people of the UK to unify behind him, to get rid of the Knights of God. Now, the Knights of God are not a nice bunch of people at all. They have internment camps, re-education centres. They're all corrupt, and the leaders just lose. He's just lost the plot. He's terrified of this unifying force, and he wants to become king, but he's not told his council. His best mate, well, his second in command, is plotting to get rid of him. But the rebels start seeing the disunity in the Knights of God and let it play out, and they bring this guy who discovers his king and his destiny to unify the people of the UK and restore democracy. And both Knights of God, both sides start attacking each other, and then the rebels just come in and mop it all up. And there's a big scene with Mordrin where he's putting his crown on and he's breaking down, and he thinks he's been chosen by higher power and all this. He kills his second in command who betrayed him, Hugo, in the temple, and he goes out to the forest. The whole thing's fallen apart. The rebels have took the country back. People are rising up all across the country, and there ain't enough of them to call it. There's even some Knights of God that have deserted them and joined up with the rebels, because a lot of people, they don't want this. And that's it, they unify. And Gareth Thomas finds him in the woods when it's all falling apart. He sees this tree stump, thinks it's a throne, he puts a crown on his head, and he just blows him away, and that's it. But there is so much going on in this. Honestly, the writing for this series is superb. Now, a lot of people will not have seen this. This has gone under the radar. I mean, just to find information on this has not been easy. I mean, there's a few pictures of Wikipedia page, but I wanted to find more, and I couldn't really find that much. Now, I found one review on YouTube of this series, which is sort of interesting. But I have to say, they put the money into this. I like the Knights of God's uniforms. I think they look really good. Even though this is set in the year 2020, 3 years ago. 3 years ago. You know, it does open the question up, could this happen in your own country? I mean, you don't know. I mean, through like vast unemployment of 10 million people, society broke down, governments couldn't cope, and then the nutters come in and take power. Do you know what I mean? But then people are thinking, well, you know, we don't want you people in because, you know, you're all insane. Because these Knights of God, they're all fanatics. And I love the thing of the black helicopters and all this. You know, I will say that with Blake in this, it is like, you could say this could be the early days of the Terran Federation, but even though it does fall. So it's sort of interesting. But I've really enjoyed watching this, and I do recommend you check out the Knights of God. So I'm going to put this through. This is going through. It could have been a classic. And there's a lot more. You could do a prequel to this about how society fell, and also a sequel series about what happened after when he became king. Is there other forces out there to bring all this down? So I'm going to say, Knights of God, you are a classic. So please give this video a like. Please subscribe to the channel. The links do help. And I will see you on the next video. So check this out. I've loaded it all up on YouTube. Enjoy. And I will see you on the next video. Live long and prosper.